Hey guys, we are going to be talking about the Nikon Z5 today, and this camera is a bit of a mixed bag for me just because it like kind of reminds me of my old days of shooting Nikon with the like the D5000 series cameras and the D750, and eventually I got the D850, but it's almost like I would prefer to buy one of those older and in my opinion better cameras, one of the DSLRs over this camera. And I do know that this is their entry full frame, so I'd kind of be curious to see what it's like shooting with their their newer the Z6 II and the Z7 II. I don't know if it's Z or Z. So the kit lens that it came with, this is the 24 to 200 millimeter lens. It's 24 at f4 and 200 at 6.3, so it is a variable aperture lens. And throughout this video I'll make some comments about the lens here and there, but overall I think that it's a really nice lens. I just don't know if I'd pay the extra $800 for it in a kit. I'd probably go for something that's a little bit more professional and used at that price range. But that being said, the image quality throughout the whole range of this lens is really great. So even when I was checking the raw files for some common issues like heavy vignetting and soft corners, when you are looking at large focal range lenses like this, I really didn't see anything that stood out to me, and everything was really sharp and nice to look at. So that was really nice to see. Again, just don't know if I'd pay an extra $800 in the kit with this. So I think that if you are primarily going to be shooting, if you know you're just going to be using this camera for landscape pictures during the day, and you're kind of staying away from any low light scenarios, then this might be the perfect purchase for you, because then you don't have to get that adapter, and it's a pretty compact setup right here. So the camera itself, it's a lot like the D750 that I used to use, and I actually believe it's the same sensor that they used to use in the D750. So the image quality that you're going to get out of this is going to be pretty much what you were getting in a really old camera. I don't know, I can't remember how old that camera is, maybe 7 years. Just you're going to have the updated features that the mirrorless lineup will bring. So you're going to have the accurate eye autofocus, not necessarily faster autofocus, but it will be easier to get more accurate portraits, and you don't have to worry about calibrating your lenses, which is something that was a pain when I was shooting with the DSLRs. I would say overall the ergonomics for this camera are okay. Personally, I'd rather be shooting with a D850. I thought, even though it was a larger camera, I thought it was way more comfortable than this. I like the grip size. I just wish it was a little bit taller, just because my pinky hangs off, so it's kind of uncomfortable. When I'm shooting with the Canon EOS R6, the camera seems to be a little bit taller, so it is nicer to hold. I don't know if they have an extension for this, or if you just get an extended battery grip. That might help out, but I wish it was a little bit bigger of a camera. In terms of the actual look of the camera, I think I like the Canon cameras more. This is just kind of like a little bit boxy, and I don't know. I mean, right up top here, it just seems so plain, and you just have this big dial. It seems to come out of nowhere. So I think that the button layout is fine. Everything is pretty easy to access, and I do enjoy having the on and off switch on the right side of the camera again, which I wish that Canon would do, just so I can operate the camera with one hand. But besides that, yeah, it's pretty easy to just pick up and start shooting with this camera. Now, I've only shot with the 24-200 lens, so I do understand that I can't make a great assessment of the autofocus speed just because I have only experienced one lens. I imagine that for people who are going to purchase this camera that are just starting out, the autofocus speed is going to be fast enough for you, especially if you're going to get some of those faster prime lenses like the 1.8 lenses. For me, when I was shooting in the day and I had subjects running towards me like a dog or, you know, my son, I was able to get most of those pictures in focus with this lens, so that was nice to see. I think for the price of this camera, it is, especially now with the holiday sale, you can get this body only for $1,200, which is a really good starting price for a camera like this. Just because even though it is an older sensor, it's still a very effective sensor. You can get great results from it. You are still going to be getting better dynamic range than if you were going to get an entry-level full frame Canon mirrorless camera, which is the Canon RP. The dynamic range on that camera, I hate to say it, but it really sucks, especially compared to this camera right here. So for $1,200 new, you can get a great camera body that you'll be able to get professional results with. And really, if you're like looking to start a photography career, this is a great choice. Now that being said, I don't know about the future of Nikon as a company. I do know that they are struggling financially and they are just not doing as well as their competition. So that is one of the reasons why I sold off my Nikon gear and moved to Canon. Not the primary reason, but one of the reasons. Another thing that I like about this camera is the touchscreen. It's really responsive and it just gets the job done. And I remember when I shot with the more expensive D850 that came out a while ago, even then the touchscreen was still a little bit laggy, but this one just seems snappier. So that also could be due to the fact that it's a lower resolution screen and you're not working with so much information because the D850 was you know, a 45 megapixel sensor. So okay, so some things I don't like about this camera. I sort of can't, even though if I'm looking at it, I think objectively, comparing it to the competition, I think it's a good deal given the price of the camera, and that's without the lens, because I think that this lens is overpriced. But oh, hi. Are you gonna say hi now? No? Okay. I can't get past the fact that this just seems like a rehashed D750 and I'm buying an old camera. I do wish that there was an updated sensor in this camera, and it just makes it a little bit of a hard pill to swallow when you're spending over $1,000 for a camera. Some other things that I didn't really like about this camera were that besides the touchscreen being responsive, in general it's just kind of a slow camera to use. You only have 4.5 frames per second, which is, I mean, I guess it's usable, and I know that you can make it work with a camera that shoots under 5 frames per second, but it is kind of hard to work with. And also, switching from the LCD screen to the EVF is a really slow process, so it's not something that you want to do like right when you're in the middle of shooting your subject, because you'll probably miss the shot just because it takes that long. Also, shooting in low light with this camera was pretty challenging. It was hard to acquire focus. I think that it has more to do with the lens and it being, you know, a slower lens in general and a variable aperture lens. But that is just one thing to note, is that in low light you might not be getting the best autofocus performance. So I think that's about it for the bad things that I saw about this camera. And again, you have to put it into perspective. This is only a $1,200 body, so I still think that it's a great deal for the price. And again, with this 24-200, I think if you are going to be taking landscape pictures or even portraits in the middle of the day where you have a lot of light, this will be fine. But if you're going to be looking to do some lower light stuff, then you're going to want to get a lens that's faster than this.